for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave.
Good morning, everyone. Happy 12th. It is Tuesday, August the 12th, and well, we are all alive, awake, and well, somewhat on time. So it's a banner start of the day for most of us, or at least me. Look, any day where I put on my face and eyebrows and can come up here and share stories with you guys is a good day. We have a lot of stories, a lot of what in the Walmart rapture, some Lord Chippy, and more absurd. We do have some serious headlines first, though. Our big headline story today is the Rachel Morin case. Basically, the man who was charged in her killing and assault has been sentenced. Now, this case was not streamed. Obviously, there are going to be political connotations to this story because of who the suspect that was charged was and who she was. You can go to different channels for a more political take. This is more just getting out her story and covering it on a true crime level. Now, the Salvadorian illegal migrant who assaulted and killed Rachel Morin was allegedly emotionless as her grieving children remembered their kind and determined mother at his sentencing Monday, where he was given life without the possibility of parole. Harford County Circuit Court Judge Yolanda Curtin threw the book at Victor Martinez Hernandez, 24, after an hours-long hearing Monday where Morin's family members, including 4 of her 5 children, delivered emotional impact statements, and I really don't care about the political part of this. 5 children lost their mom, and that's what I'm covering. Now, Morin's eldest daughter described her mom as having the best laugh and being kind, strong, honest, determined, and funny. In a heartbreaking written statement, she asked prosecutors to read to the court. I've had to relive the worst 2 days of my life in order to write this, a statement from the 20-year-old read. Now her 3 youngest children delivered their statements via audio recordings. She was a good mom, her son could be heard saying in one recording. Every time I see a picture of her, I think about the life I had with her and my 4 sisters. I miss her. Now, Morin's children range from age 9 to 20, and that's about the gap that I have with my kids. You took a life that was not yours to take, the judge told Martinez Hernandez. Your act not only brutalized a young woman, but terrorized a community. You are not a candidate for rehabilitation. There simply is no hope to rehabilitate you. Now, a jury found Martinez Hernandez guilty in April of murdering Morin, 37, as she was exercising on the Monpaw Heritage Trail in Bel Air, Maryland on August 5th, 2023. Now, he was convicted of strangling her, hitting her with rocks, and then leaving her partially unclothed body in a drainage culvert on a trail that's about 30 miles northeast of Baltimore. Now, her younger brother, John, said through Tears Monday that he's experienced a tidal wave of grief since his sister's slaying. Now, Martinez Hernandez remained stony-faced and emotionless as family members told the judge about the toll that Morin's murder has taken on the family. Now, after and through a Spanish translator, Martinez Hernandez decided to open his sea holster, in my words, and say just random bullshit. Basically, thanking her for the opportunity to speak, but that he wouldn't be giving any testimony. So, again, all of these families deserve to be heard, deserve to have their heartbreak and their pain witnessed and understood. And unfortunately, with a monster like this, it's probably not going to faze him. But hopefully these children and everyone who's lost someone in this violent fashion, but especially this family for this particular story, is getting the love and support they need to go through this crap spackle time. Because despite the fact, now that the trial is over, grief might really hit in for these people because they now don't have anything to work for, and they have to sit in their grief. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing more to fight for. So this is going to be a really hard time for them, and I hope they are getting the love and support that they need. And then again, in another somewhat heavy story, but it is a headline. Now, I will let you guys know that this is kind of the first reporting on this. So this is going to be bare bones reporting. This story will probably be subject to some change. Now, according to reporting, a mentally ill gunman shot and killed at least 3 at a Texas Target after crashing a stolen car. Now, according to initial reports, a mentally ill gunman shot and killed 3 people at a Target in Central Texas on Monday, then stole a pair of cars before he was arrested. Now, the 32-year-old, who has an unspecified mental health history, apparently opened fire in a Target parking lot north of Austin around 2:15 p.m. Now, 3 people lost their lives, and a 4th victim suffered unrelated injuries and was treated at the scene. And as you can see, there's chaos, there's, calamity when these kind of things happened. Now, the gunman fled the scene of the shooting in a car that he stole from the parking lot. He proceeded to crash that car, then hijacked another car after that from a Volkswagen dealership. So we have random shooting that took 3 people's lives. He then carjacked a car, crashed that one, then carjacked a Volkswagen dealership. Now, he was apprehended in a residential neighborhood about 18 miles away from the scene, and an investigation is ongoing. So if there is a, update on this, I will, of course, bring it to you guys. But right now, we are only going to get sort of the bare bones of this. And I think if this year or doing Mornings with Mo has taught me anything, and I could share or impart one little bit of wisdom to you guys that I've learned from doing the news, is that for these big things, I never worry about it being the first to bring you guys a story. I'd rather bring you the fully fleshed out story. So sometimes I'll try to warn you guys like, hey, this is very early reporting. It might be up to change, and I don't have a lot of answers for you. But that's kind of how I pick things. But give breaking headline news a good 24 to 48 hours before you want to deeply interrogate them, because it is kind of, they're just putting things out there and they haven't researched the whole story. And that's kind of how it is in, our 24-hour news cycle. Well, I mean, she's been a bad, bad girl, but do we send her to prison or will she start Love Island there? I mean, I don't know. Call me crazy, but wow, Britain, you got some issues. Not that we don't have this going on here, but a British prison officer has admitted to an inappropriate months-long relationship with an inmate. Oh, well, I mean, she's a cutie patootie, but you're still fired and fired. A British prison officer could be headed to her own cell after recently fessing up to a months-long inappropriate relationship with an inmate. Yikes. Megan Breen, 23, made the shocking admission in Welsh court, becoming the latest of more than a dozen UK prison workers charged with similar conduct in the recent years. Okay, so no female prison guards. I think that, with great power comes great responsibility, and apparently us ladies, we just can't handle it. Now, she did make this in court. Now, she had initially denied allegations before, eventually owning up to, the sexy shenanigans with a prisoner who, remains unnamed. Now, exactly what happened between Breen and the inmate remains unclear, but the relationship was carried out between February and May of 2022 while Breen was working at two South Wales prisons, HMP Usk and HMP Priscod. Now, Priscod is a minimum security prison, according to the Telegraph, while Usk is a tighter security facility for, PDF, pause, files. So there you go. Now, it remains unclear in which prison she had the relationship. While acting as a public officer, namely a prison officer, willfully and without reasonable excuse or justification, you misconducted yourself in a way which amounted to an abuse of the public's trust in the office holder by having a relationship with a prisoner, her charges read. Now, she was released on bail until her sentencing next month. Oh, thank you, Tammy. It's same. I mean, she's not unattractive. Why are you wanting to do it with a prisoner? I mean, look, I have heard tell of like getting prison swole, like prison abs, but he's still a prisoner. Like, I can look at abs, I'm not blind, but it doesn't mean I'm going to wreck my life, to have some strange. But there you go. I guess at 23, you make life choices, and some strange is apparently a motivating factor. Now, all sentencing options are on the table, says Judge Carl Harrison, ahead of her release. Now, exactly how much time she faces does remain unclear, but people convicted of misconduct in a public office can be sentenced to life in prison in the UK. Now, she is the only latest of, these female UK prison workers caught, maybe relation date shipping with a prisoner. At least 19 staffers were charged with inappropriate conduct between 2023 and 2024. Now, some of their sentences have ranged from 21 months to 12 months. So she's probably not going to get big sentence, but this is obviously inappropriate. And if this is a reoccurring problem with female guards in men's prisons, then let's have you guard the, same-sex guards. I don't think that should be, entirely ridiculous. Unbalanced equation, life in UK does not mean life unless it's a whole life sentence. I have learned that, although I will say, didn't you guys just let out the Lockerbie person? Like in the recent past, I know it wasn't, acutely currently, but didn't the UK release the Lockerbie bomber? I mean, because he said he would be a good boy or he'd come to the end of his sentence, which I'm confused. That being said, air disaster nerd here, and Lockerbie was an absolute tragedy, but that's a tangent for another stream. Well, axis of power and axis of evil and axis of time. Well, was the founder of Rolex, the luxury watch empire, was he maybe a spy for Mr. Hankety Clankety from World War II? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to spend $10,000 on a watch, so who knows? Now, secret British intelligence files might have revealed that MI5 once suspected German founder of iconic Rolex luxury watch empire of holding strong, Yahtzee sympathies, along with possibly acting as a spy during the Second World War. Now, in declassified records held at the National Archives, It describes Hans Wursdorf as in most objectionable and allege he may have used his position to spread propaganda for Mr. Hankety Clankety's regime. Now, the documents were written between 1941 and 1943, with many stamped with Box 500, a war nickname for MI5's headquarters. Now, it outlines fears among British authorities that Wisdorf posed a security risk despite being a naturalized British citizen. Now, born in Bavaria in 1881, Wisdorf moved in 1903 to London, where he began making watches in Houghton Garden and later founded Rolex. He married a British woman, Florence Crotty, before relocating the company's headquarters to Geneva in 1990 or 1919, not 1990. Thank you, Unbalanced. You guys are doing, I actually had to buy, so, we're going to go on a little bit of a tangent because it's just, I got to brag on one of my kids, and look, I'm a proud mom. So it's going to happen. Now, thank you so much, Unbalanced. Now, I have 6 kids, and I am going to tell you that having children, having kids is kind of like, well, it's an exercise in faith. You teach them all of these things like how to be a good person, please, thank you. You get them through their toddler stage where you get them to think of other people. You get them through their school age where you get them to kind of learn to follow rules and have a schedule. You pray that they make it through their middle school stage. If they're a girl, if they're a boy, you pray they take a shower. And always in the back of your mind, or at least in mine, maybe I'm just abnormal, it's always that worry, am I creating or am I raising good people? Because as a parent, you're always there for the snipping and snapping and the bickering and the fighting and the showing of their behinds. So it's kind of like, I am trying my best here, and they cannot go 2 seconds without fighting with each other over blinking. Yes, there have been battles over blinking in my house. Don't be peanut butter and jealous of my glamorous life. That being said, you do kind of worry, like, okay, and then they get kind of into a teenager stage where it kind of, you give them grace because you remember, all of the kind of self-absorbed jackassery you went through as a teen. So you kind of give grace, but you worry about, who is this person, that I'm raising? Are they going to be a good person? Have all of those lessons that I have given and tried to sow actually taken fruit? And last night, you get those worries. And then if you are a parent, if you are worrying, you get little like postcards of the person your kid is going to be. And it's really awesome. So last night, my daughter has a friend who, out of the blue today, realized that she needed to get her appendix out. And she was there for her. I mean, I kept seeing her little text like, are you okay? Do you need me to come over and see you? And then she's like, Mom, would it be okay if we ordered an appendix plushie for my friend because, she's going through something? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So it's Boosh, thank you. Mo, my younger cousin, left for college last year, and his mom and I were cleaning up his room, and she says, it kind of stinks in here. And I said, yeah, we're men, we stink. So maybe I'm just a little more introspective. I don't know if you guys know, haven't really made a big deal of it because I'm still kind of in denial. But my oldest daughter is going to be starting her college career on Thursday. So I'll probably have Mornings with Mo recorded, and there'll be a video for you guys. But then Thursday I'll be driving, 3 hours to take her to college, get her all set up, and then drive back up. That being said, maybe I'm just in a more introspective mood because this is the part of parenthood no one told me about, like where you send them out into the world and you can't protect them anymore. I'm not sure I like this I'm not sure I like this at all. So I think, it is interesting moving into a different season with my daughter to, realize that I have to sit back and watch her, deal with the world on her own. And I guess every mother's prayer is that the world will be a bit kinder to their baby than they were for her. And my oldest has a good head on her shoulders, so I think she'll be fine. Maybe Koberger wasn't the case to look into right at this point, but that is the hard part I have found here lately in this season of parenting is you sow all these lessons, you sow all this common sense, and then you have to go and let these children, start planting their own seeds. And if anyone can tell me the correct dosage of gummies to where I will be cool and calm about this, please DM me, okay? Because I'm, look, I already know I'm going to be one of those moms ugly. I mean, I'm going to be one of them mamas ugly crying, and I didn't think I would be that cringy, but I'm going to be ugly crying. Mr. Mo's going to have to like console my ridiculous behind on the ride home, mostly because I'm losing the quiet one. Fair point. Yeah. And I will say, this is a cycle that every parent has gone through, so I'll be walking through. If I pick up any wisdom, I will let you know. But if anyone does have like on the DL, the gummy equation of how I transition through this period, that would be lovely. That being said, let's get back to, well, Yahtzee watches or alleged Yahtzee watches. And thank you for, joining me as on this, Mo has to talk herself down. Fair point. And yeah, we do have so many things that it's like we have so many opportunities and ways to keep in touch. It really is funny that, I'm so worried and she's only going to be, less than 3 hours away. All right, so the British continued to really become very worried about Wilsdorf's loyalty. Now, in 1940, a report from the British consul in Geneva said that he was well known for his Yahtzee sympathy, pointing out claims that his brother Karl was actually working with Goebbels in the propaganda ministry. Now, according to the file, Swiss federal police had already been monitoring Wilsdorf over concerns that he might be involved in spreading messaging. Just a little. Now, MI5, in a report from 1943, stated that the agency had been keeping tags on Rolex's British operation, Bexley Health, and suspected that Wilsdorf was doing espionage on behalf of the Axis of Evil, or the Axis powers, I guess. Axis of Evil was George W. Now, the papers repeatedly described him as well known for his leanings towards the Yahtzee regime, but as of right now, it doesn't look like anything substantial came out other than there was a lot of blacklisting from British authorities on the company's founder that were monetarily very damaging for Rolex, and the sort of undercurrent that he was, always under suspicion was something that, has been documented by Rolex. But, they say that they are completely and totally never were parts of the Yahtzees. So there you go. I mean, take his word for it or buy a 10,000 watch or $10,000 watch. Well, in a happy update to a story I brought you a couple weeks back, the carcasses have been counted and a winner has been, crowned. A Florida man, at least for these sort of civilian, if this isn't Florida in a daggone picture, tell me what is more Florida than this. A man caught 87 invasive pythons in a month and was awarded $1,000 through a state incentive program. A Florida man with nearly unmatched gumption for slaying snakes was awarded $1,000 through a new state incentive program for capturing a staggering 87 invasive pythons in just 1 month. Aaron Mann clinched the monthly prize as part of South Florida Water Management District's Python Elimination Program, which encourages skilled Sunshine State residents to capture and kill as many of its invasive Burmese pythons as possible. Okay, we need him to have, could you, sir, I know who you are, Mr. Man. Do you have a YouTube channel? Would you like an interview? Because this looks hella fun. Now, the man posed victoriously with one of his bounties alongside a hunting partner draped in the monstrous reptile on both of their shoulders while reveling in their kill count. Now, earlier in 2025, the program introduced a monetary award that would be doled out to the daredevils with the highest count each month. Now, the Sunshine State already sponsors a series of other events aimed at tapering the python population bit by bit, including the annual Florida Python Challenge, which saw a slew of participants only wipe out 200 of the reptiles over a 10-day hunt last year, merely a fraction of man's sort of, bounty of only 1 month. Now, last year's challenge winner only removed 20 pythons, but took home a prize of $10,000. Now, additionally, specialized python removal agents were paid $50 for every snake they secured, with an extra $25 thrown in for every foot of the snake stretching longer than 4 feet. Now, in 2023, a 19-foot python was captured in Florida, which would have been worth $425 under new incentive programs. Now, the state also introduced a tracking program using cartoonish robot rabbits that would alert FWMD when they spot a python, and from there, officials could dispatch someone to remove the snake, likely one of the removal agents who would additionally be compensated for their efforts. Now, Burmese pythons have roamed Florida's Everglades since the 1990s. Now, despite being a non-native species to the U.S., their population has only grown, and officials have no idea what the exact count could be right now. Now, roughly 19,000 have been removed from the Everglades since 2000. So there you go. As you do, Now, in story, we have several stories here that we are living in the end times, and I don't know if Final Form Jesus can save the first story. Like, the person in the first story, I think, is just lost forever for stupidity.
The key-keeped scroll, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, Final Form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
You guys, I about busted my daggone gut last night when I saw this headline. It's all true. It's in People magazine. They can't lie to us. A man stole $21 million worth of lunar rocks from NASA to use during sex after promising his girlfriend the moon. As you do. I have no idea. If this isn't the sign of the end times, I don't know. Like, we have reached peak human stupidity out here. The most out-of-this-world heist occurred just over 23 years ago, which ultimately led to sex on the moon, literally. In July 2002, a NASA intern, Thad Roberts, his girlfriend of 3 weeks, and another friend stole 15 pounds of moon rocks and a meteorite from Houston's Johnson Space Center in a daring dead-of-the-night burglary. Now, the crime involved authentic NASA badges, rewiring security cameras, and neoprene bodysuits to avoid setting off thermal alarms. Now, it took NASA several days to notice that, it was, well, missing a 601-pound safe containing an estimated 200, or not, sorry, $21 million worth of moon rocks from every lunar landing from 1969 to 1972. Now, Roberts was the brain behind the heist. He was their pinky, or he was the brain, and she was the pinky. And was only 24 years old when he arrived at NASA, having completed a triple degree in physics, geology, and geophysics at the University of Utah. Now, he eventually met Tiffany Fowler, a 22-year-old who worked in NASA's tissue collection laboratory, looking at stem cell research. Now, they began a relationship and moved in within 3 weeks of knowing each other. Now, not long after, he told her about his idea to steal moon rocks, which is said to have intrigued her. I was in love with Tiffany, he told the LA Times in 2004. In my mind, I was thinking, baby, I'd give you the moon. It would be such a romantic start to our relationship. Yeah, because moon rock sex, it is the final frontier. Now, when Filer agreed to be an accomplice, the duo grabbed a third person, Shay Sauer, also a NASA intern, to help. One July evening, the three interns pulled up to Building 31, where the moon rocks were being housed. Roberts, now 48, and Fowler headed into the building, while Sauer reportedly served as a lookout and watched the rewired cameras. Now, the couple donned neoprene bodysuits and went straight into the airless room and fled with the safe, which was cracked using a power saw. In my own head, stealing something wasn't the way I looked at it, Roberts told CBS in 2012. We weren't going to take money. We were getting we weren't going to take this money we were getting from it to go buy a yacht or lots of cars or a big house. We were just going to live a small kind of lifestyle, but fund science that might change the world, When asked why he went through the heist, he said, the simple answer was to say I did it for love. No, you did it because you're a jackass. Love doesn't, you were stupid before love got its hooks into you, son. I wanted to know that I'd literally cared. I wanted someone to know that I'd literally cared about them that much, and to have a symbol there to remind them of it. Now, using the defense that he was simply a fool in love, Roberts has argued that the theft wasn't financially motivated, but the FBI has said otherwise, indicating he'd been in contact with a buyer from Belgium who was willing to pay the asking price of $1,000 to $5,000 per gram. The buyer, though, got suspicious and contacted the FBI, who quickly sent undercover agents to Orlando, where the sale was to be taking place. Now, on July 20th, 2002, the 33rd anniversary of the first moonwalk, Roberts and Fowler drove from Houston to Orlando to meet with the buyer. About an hour before the sale, though, Roberts had an idea. I took some of the moon rocks and I put them underneath a blanket in the bed, and he and Fowler did the deed. I never said anything, but I'm pretty sure she could feel it. She never said anything directly either, but it was more about the symbol of what we were doing, basically doing it on the moon. That's not on my bucket list. That's like a worse idea than sand. Like, hey, baby, you want to pretend we're on Mars? And Mr. Mo just throws a bunch of rocks into the bed. That ain't gonna happen. It was more uncomfortable than not, but it wasn't really about comfort at that point. It was about the expression, and no one had ever had sex on the moon, and I think we can safely say we did that. Oh, Lord, you need to help this special young man. To quote Bobby Hill, he ain't right. Now, his luck ran out shortly at the meeting with undercover agents who placed him and Fowler into handcuffs. Now, authorities nabbed Sauer later in the day, and a fourth accomplice, Gordon McWhorr, who helped find the Belgian buyer, was also arrested. Still, the FBI said the rocks are now virtually useless to the scientific community. A press release added that they destroyed 3 decades' worth of handwritten research notes by NASA scientists that had been locked in the safe. Now, Roberts pled guilty to no, not in 2020, in 2002 to stealing the moon rocks. He also admitted to stealing dinosaur bones and fossils from the Natural History Museum in Salt Lake. Who, sir, are you Carmen Sandy fucking Ego? What is going on? Like, where in the world is this weird guy from Utah who keeps stealing all these national artifacts? Are they rebooting Carmen Sandiego with this dude in it? Hollywood, don't do that. I loved Carmen Sandiego. You leave her be. He was released 2 years early from prison in 2008 after serving more than 6 years of an 8-year sentence. Now Fowler and Saur pled guilty and were given 180 days of house arrest, 150 hours of community service, and 3 years of probation, also ordered to pay back more than $9,000 in restitution to NASA. Now McWhorter was found guilty in trial and received a 6-year prison sentence. Now this love story was star-crossed, even though it was, well, moon sexy shenanigans. Roberts and Fowler reportedly never saw each other again after boinking on the moon. I don't even know where to go on this one, y'all. I have no idea. Well, I mean, we've all had pretty bad days, but I'm going to say this woman had the worst day ever. A woman went to use the restroom, and what she found in the toilet actually landed her in the ER for rabies shots. I mean, at that point, I'd just burn the house down. Like, there's no way to help this house now, and now you got rabies. When Allison Doyle flushed her downstairs toilet one afternoon, she expected, the usual swoosh of water, not a lifeless body of a tiny bat. Now the discovery would send her from a quiet laundry day to a Canadian emergency room and eventually to the center of a viral TikTok moment. I went downstairs to do laundry after literally a month of living in this new place, Allison tells People. I looked down and it was a baby bat. It was deceased in my toilet. Now Doyle says she rarely uses that bathroom and wasn't sure how long that animal had actually been there. Still, she pulled out her phone and hit record before flushing the unexpected guest away. Now, after posting that clip to TikTok, it just seemed like something normal that she would do because she'd been documenting her life online for 2 years. Now, the response she received was immediate and urgent, with hundreds of viewers, filling her comments and warning her to seek medical attention in case of rabies exposure. I had about 100 people telling me I should get rabies shots. They told her she needed to head directly to the ER, that the likelihood of her contracting, rabies is extremely low, but the percentage of you dying if you contract rabies and don't get help is actually wildly high. Yes, the warning was enough to push her to the hospital despite sensory challenge that she faces as an autistic person. If you don't think I need to be here, I would rather just go home, she remembers telling a nurse. Now, navigating a busy emergency room is never easy for her, as the bright lights, close quarter, and constant kind of background chatter can make the experience very overwhelming for her. The nurse's reassurance made a difference. She told me that it was good I came in, easing some of her anxiety. Now the medical staff determined she should start a rabies post-exposure prophylaxis immediately. So the first day you get 5 shots, then a few days ago I got another shot. Now her treatment will still require multiple visits, but in Canada, she was able to sort of have a paramedic come to her house and give her the shots rather than having to go back to an ER or her primary care physician. So despite feeling sick after the shots, she focused on the positive, and she was grateful for the paramedics coming out to, give her these injections, meaning she didn't have to be overstimulated in the ER, which is good. So yeah, if you run into a bat, go get taken care of, go get seen at the hospital. I'm not a doctorologist, but there you go. Get that taken care of. Again, not a doctor, but don't do it. Well, we all knew this day would come. The ranch has started to fight back. Us Midwestern ladies have tasted our last hidden valley. because the ranch is on the attack. In a gruesome, well, bandaged up thumb video and post to her social media, country music star Carly Pearce was rushed to the emergency room this weekend after she accidentally cut her thumb open with a bottle of ranch dressing following a concert in Homedale, New Jersey. Now, she shared what happened to her on a TikTok video. Get ready with me with one hand, she joked while putting on makeup. So last night I was getting ready to eat dinner after my show. I went to open a bottle of ranch dressing that was glass. When it opened, I actually snapped off part of the top and ended up cutting my thumb. Now, at first, Pierce didn't think it was too bad. After getting her thumb checked out by paramedics that were there for the concert, they kind of said, no, you need to go get stitches. So there you go. The ranch is fighting back. Clever girl. Clever girl. Also, that just looks so uncomfortable. I love that I'm over here like, did they really need to bandage it that much? That being said, Hidden Valley of my heart. Kraft Ranch sucks, redemption ballad. It could work. It could work. Now, in the other segment of our show, which everyone loves to find people, we love to find people that we hate. Lord Chippy has just, well, some daggone spectacular. And if you could win awards for being the most grotesque human being, I think that at least one of these stories would win the prize. They are Olympic level schmucks. But without further ado, let's meet these jackasses.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, in our first story, and one of the lesser of the evils in our first story, or our two stories, a mother tried to help her son leave the country after a fatal street racing crash that killed one and seriously injured another, according to prosecutors. Now, a mother and son from Staten Island, New York, are facing charges from New Jersey police after being arrested in Florida in connection with a fatal street racing incident last month. Vilma Vishna, 42, and her son Alvi Limina, 20, were both arrested on July 17th in Miami as they were allegedly trying to flee the United States. Now, Alvi is accused of operating a BMW X3 recklessly, causing it to crash into two other vehicles, eject two of his passengers in a fatal street racing crash on New Jersey's Garden State Parkway. This all happened on June 29th. Now, one of those passengers, a 20-year-old Albion Hysin, died, and another 21-year-old passenger was hospitalized with serious injuries. Now, Emily Harrington, 19, was also a passenger in the BMW X3. And according to a press release, she was not ejected from the vehicle and fled the scene with Alvi. Now, Harrington was arrested and charged with hindering, obstruction, and conspiracy to endanger another. Now, another alleged participant in the race was Jeter Ongondo, 23, who was operating a BMW M5 that was also involved in the fatal crash. He was arrested and charged with vehicular homicide, endangering another, and assault by audio. Now, basically, following the crash, Alvi allegedly, flew with his mother, Vishna, to Miami, where he made plans to try to leave the country. Now, both mother and son were arrested near Miami and taken into custody July 17th, and they're being held there until they can be extradited to New Jersey. Now, Vishna was charged with hindering, and her son faces a litany of charges in connection with the crash, including aggravated manslaughter, vehicular homicide, knowingly leaving a scene of an accident resulting in death, causing death while driving with a suspended license, 2 counts of endangering an injured victim, 2 counts of endangering tampering with public records, hindering, knowingly leaving a scene of an accident resulting in serious bodily injury, assault by auto, causing serious injury while driving with a suspended license. Now, all 4 suspects from this incident are expected to appear in court on August 28th. Now, in a case that is so eerily and mind-numbingly rage-inducingly similar to the Shanda Vander Ark case that it makes me want to spit. I am so mad that there are more a-hole, not parents, but incubator and sperm donors who do this to their children. That there was another child that had to live through this makes me so damn irritated I can barely see straight. But we name and shame, and these 2 genetic dead ends that Darwin should have left on the damn table will be named and shamed. Now, she is literally starving. A 15-year-old girl weighed 58 pounds, was not allowed to have snacks, and was forced to stand with her hands up for hours. So if anyone knows that I'm doing on the Petty Express, I'm doing Shanda Vander Ark case, and this is very, very similar to how Timothy was treated. Now, that case was in Michigan, the Shanda Vander Ark. This is in Wisconsin. And again, Wisconsin, do you need some help? You are becoming the Florida of the Midwest. Do you, blink if, the state of Wisconsin needs some help? The Wisconsin father of a 15-year-old girl who weighed just 58 pounds and was forced to stand with her hands up for hours in a locked bedroom has pled guilty. Now, Tristan Hull, 40, on Monday entered a guilty plea to the chronic neglect of a child with great bodily harm. Now, his wife, 33-year-old Brittany Hull, the girl's stepmother, is also facing child neglect and abuse charges. Her case is ongoing. Now, according to a criminal complaint obtained by Law and Crime, the Marathon County Sheriff's Office responded on October 15th, 2023, to a home in Rib Mountain, which is about 90 miles east of Green Bay, for a medical emergency. Now, when police arrived, Tristan Hull told him that his daughter was drinking a protein shake when she started having trouble breathing. He claimed that she, quote, stiffened up and became unresponsive. Now, paramedics spent roughly 25 minutes performing CPR on the girl until they were able to stabilize her and transport her to a local hospital. Now, her father claimed that she had always had health problems, but only mentioned a condition that caused her poor circulation. Now, the girl was flown to another hospital where, according to medical records, her organs had already begun to start the process of failing due to severe dehydration. Now, she went into bone marrow failure due to malnutrition. She was intubated for 5 days, and during that time, doctors ruled out any condition that would have medically, caused her to not be able to put on weight or any sort of metabolic issue. So anything that these jackasses could have said, like, oh, well, she's got gluten intoleration or she's got celiacs, or which I know is a gluten intoleration, but there was nothing that, other than the fact that they were not feeding her, that this girl should be this underweight. Now, medical staff determined that she was at least 30 pounds underweight for a girl her age and was suffering from severe malnutrition. Just by being in the hospital for 8 days and away from her tormentors, she gained 5 pounds and was able to slowly increase her calorie intake. Now, detectives spoke with the family's pastor, who noticed the girl's health was on a steady decline over the years. Now, the Hull's kids attended the children's program once a week, and the pastor said the girl would have trouble focusing in class because she was, quote, literally starving, and when she was given a snack, she would inhale it. She would stuff food in her pockets and sneak off to other parts of the church to eat, according to the affidavit. Brittany Hull allegedly blamed her stepdaughter's condition on her ADHD, but doctors again said nothing was preventing the girl from eating properly. Now, she claimed that she took her daughter to a dietitian, but did not follow recommendations that she was given. Now, once she was feeling better, detectives spoke to the girl, and she allegedly explained how her father and stepmother would treat her differently from her siblings. The girl said her stepmother, who had been in her life for roughly 10 years, was very strict with her when it came to eating, such as not allowing her to have snacks. While her two siblings got to eat breakfast, she couldn't. Investigators discovered that there was plenty of food in the home, and her siblings did not have nutritional problems. And this is, again, very similar to the Shanda Vander Ark case. But what we do see in a lot of these gross family dynamic situations is that one child or one person becomes the scapegoat, and everyone seems to take out their issues on this one innocent person, because that just is a family culture. It's something that happens. It's absolutely grotesque. It's ridiculous. And I do hope that you get all the Gen Pop justice in the world to you two. Now, investigators also observed locks on the girl's bedroom windows and doors, along with a door alarm. Now, the girl said her father and stepmother told her she had to have a special diet because of her ADHD. Now, Brittany allegedly refused to discuss her diet, and if the issue was raised, it would lead to arguments. Now, she was also allegedly forced to eat away from the rest of the family during mealtime. The girl said that Brittany limited her water intake to 16 ounces a day, and sometimes she was so weak her mother or her stepmother would have to spoon feed her. Now, police also recovered surveillance footage from the camera in the girl's room, which allegedly showed that she was forced to stand with her hands up in the air, so stress positions, over even though she was visibly crying and shaking. So just absolutely directly into the center of the sun. I honestly think these two would poison Lord Chippy. I hope that all of the children are getting the support and care they need. I hope that little girl is getting all the support and care and medical attention and just everything she needs. The fact that parents can so destroy what they are given, I will never understand. I will never understand. It will never make it right. You two ridiculous people, just you. Just you. There are only two this morning because honestly, that last story was just, ugh. Because you think, okay, we have Shanda Vander Ark, and she's disgusting monster, but hopefully it will never happen again. And then to realize that it's happening in Wisconsin too. Just ew. Now, I thought this was pretty funny, but I have a dark sense of humor, so this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I kind of like it. Idaho victim's father wants Brian Koberger's commissary money confiscated and used for a firing squad. I'm here for it. No honey buns for you. Let's get some target practice. A father of one of the slain University of Idaho students is calling for a harsher form of justice for Brian Koberger. Steve Gunclavies, who, again, I know people have thoughts on him, but I have to say, I approve of this. I'm just saying, whose daughter was among the 4 students that had lost their life tragically, said in a new interview that he initially thought that the convicted killer's commissary funds should be used to pay for the firing squad. Now, he revealed that he has spoken with Idaho legislators about proposing a law that would use commissary money from convicted murderers to reimburse costs of investigating their crimes. Now, Steve Gunclavies has revealed he is pushing for harsher consequences for Brian Koberger beyond the 4 consecutive life sentences he received for murdering Kaylee and Maddie and Xana and Ethan. Now, speaking with TMZ, the grieving father shared that he's held talks with at least two Idaho legislators to propose a law that will possibly confiscate some or all of commissary funds of convicted murderers like Koberger. He claimed the intention is to use these funds to reimburse taxpayers for the cost of investigating these crimes that the criminals committed, although initially he imagined such funds would be better spent on supplying a firing squad. Now, throughout the duration of the case, Koberger has received various donations from fans to his commissary account. However, these amounts seem negligible in compared to funds Idaho State spent on the case. By April of 2024, the state reportedly spent over $3.6 million prosecuting the murders. The costs were also significantly higher by the time that Koberger chose to accept a plea deal. So I'm not going to get into this whole article, but it sounds like something I would say, to be honest with you. And I think that a part of his, commissary should go back to restitution. But I mean, who knows? I just thought it was a good idea. Now, I went into the tangent a little bit earlier today because I have questions about the parents who are packing these, emergency kits for their students. Narcan, condoms, and Plan B parents are packing doomsday kits for their college-bound kids. Here's how they're preparing for the worst. I don't disagree fundamentally, but I also don't know how I feel about this. Pencils, notebooks, and Narcan? Concerned parents of incoming college freshmen are adding the life-saving nasal spray to back-to-school lists this year, along with condoms, Plan B, and more modern must-haves that might have been unthinkable a generation ago. And that's just fine with students like Summer, 20, who say they prefer a matter-of-fact approach to the way campus life is lived now. I administered Narcan to a girl who was passed out in the front lawn of an off-campus frat party, the psych major from North Carolina who doesn't want to use her last name told the Post. It does save lives. Now, Narcan, known as naloxone, is an opioid antagonist that reverses the effect of illicit substances such as fentanyl. It's a serious topic of discussion among older folks with chickadees poised to leave the nest. From Facebook mom groups to viral TikTok clips, college survival kits with the miracle medication are all the rage, along with contraceptive pills and other, grown-up ads. Idaho mom Jamie, 42, and her daughter Sophia Green, 18, recently made a big splash with social media reveal of their non-traditional necessities for her first day of classes at Boise State University. So, while the 6.5 million viewers of the clip were largely supportive, digital detractors downed the trend, arguing that plying adolescents with preventative products is sad and embarrassing. However, one contrarian commenter even wrote, "Damn, teach your daughters common sense, resilience, and willpower." Honestly, I don't think this is a bad idea. Again, as a young person, it did not occur to me to buy my own Tylenol, to buy my own medication stuff. And if it works for their family, then that's fine. Maybe all the things wouldn't work for my family. Now, some people are, rushing to call this helicopter parenting, and that they're giving kids, a green light to experiment. But an adolescent psychologist says that, maybe having these is more of a preventative, more of a prophylactic, and not an invitation to go be a party animal. It's every family and every parent's sort of thing. Will I be buying Narcan for my daughter? Probably not. But I will make sure she knows how to access it and how to use it and where it would be on her campus. but I don't think I'm going to buy it. But will I probably, when we're down at the local Walmart, you know, get her some cold medicine, get her some Tylenol, get her some Excedrin? Sure, why not? I just, I mean, again, I don't know. Oh, apparently they have a little thing under the weather. Oh, she even did a little like thing. Oh, good Lord, she even broke down what to do if you have a code brown. Can't poop. Take Senelax, 2 before bed. Can't stop pooping. Take Imodium. Feel like poop. Tums, Pepto-Bismol, and Dramamine. Okay, I mean, again, look, it is not easy to send your precious babies off to their own life and realizing that the world is neither kind nor padded. So if it makes these parents feel a little better that they're giving their kids all the things that they wish they had known about when they were younger, then fine. I'm I'm honestly, if it helps these parents, if it's good in their family, I wish people would stop judging other people on the internet, but I understand that the internet would implode into a black hole of nothingness if people didn't judge other people. Hell, it's half my channel, so as a big giant hypocrite. But if it works for someone else's family and it works for them and it seems to be fine, we are all human beings just trying to human in an imperfect world. And just because, Cletus does it different than you do, unless it's a felony, doesn't mean Cletus is wrong. Just means he does things in a different way. I know that would, now in our final story, because we need one to lighten us up, and with this headline, I had to pick it. What in the name of all that is unholy and holy for goodness and hoodness, what is Holtox? The unusual, anal Botox shot that can treat constipation or enhance bedroom, experiences. And they have a donut surrounded by syringes. I give up. This should have been in final form Jesus. I just realized. Is Botox a backdoor cure? Now, devotees of this treatment say that Holtox is the holy grail for constipation and sexual satisfaction. Holtox is a procedure where Botox or any other injectable, I guess, is injected into, the sphincter, if you will, explained anesthesiologist and founder of Natural and Aesthetics Center in California said. Now, she described it as an unusual off-label treatment for constipation, which is caused by an increased resting tone of said O-ring. Now, when Botox is injected into this muscle, it helps it relax, relieves the spasm, and can restore proper function. Additionally, Holtox is said to support healing fissures or hemorrhoids. So, now, for those concerned with the ouch factor of having a needle, inserted into delicate areas, devotees say that the little prick outweighs, the wincing. So there we go. I had it done and it was helpful with hemorrhoids, said one. I honestly can't tell you if it was painful because the other issues were hurting so freaking badly, but the pressure was relieved, and for that I was very grateful. Now, more recently, this product has been marketed as an aesthetic rejuvenation in the area, so to enhance the bedroom experience. Apparently, it helps relax things, so let's just say exits can become entrances. I mean, okie dokie. And apparently that is appealing to Gen Zs and millennials who are getting a little bit more curious when it comes to the spexiness. Now, the whole procedure takes just about 3 minutes to complete and alleviates discomfort to those who have constipation or shenanigans issues. Now, most clients will pay $900 for this procedure, and most of them are men between the ages of 25 to 40. You don't say. You don't say. This is a lot of men, you don't say. I mean, I'm not a mathologist, but I think I've connected the dots. And so 30% of them have even been known to fly in from out of state in order to specifically get this treatment. Now, she says that she does have female patients that come in, but it's mostly gay men. Now, she says she has actually seen one or two straight men come in for the procedure as well. In a TikTok, well, so there you go. You know, I would stick with Miralax if I'm honest with you guys. I don't know or date the doctor enough to even bring up the subject of whole tox, but maybe you have better GPs than I do, or you're more open in talking about your, sphincter to your GP. That being said, I don't give any medical advice here, so talk to your primary care physician about Botox for your butthole, because that's where I end with that, y'all. I have no idea. Thank you guys for spending your time with me this morning. Remember, have a good day. Spread a little bit of kindness and a little bit of sass in your area. But as always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness doesn't equal doormat. I should actually be redirecting you guys to the Shanda Vander Ark case today. We're going to try to get through her entire testimony, both direct and cross. So if you'd like to hang out and probably listen to Mo curse Shanda Vander Ark like this swamp donkey monster that she is, I'll be on at 10. Bye, you guys.